Hi, today I'm going to show you how to take a design from Illustrator to be drawn using your Cricut. I'm also going to show you a technique for using a guide to accurately place your design. For today's tutorial, we're going to address an envelope. As you can see, I already created the design that I wanted for my envelope. I have a red border, which is going to serve as my guide, and I have everything else in blue, which is going to be drawn. I've also put them on their own separate layers, so obviously all the blue are together and all the red are together. I took rough measurements of the height, width, and also the depth of the flap, and used that to make my guide. For my design, I basically expanded the text that I wanted to use. What's important to note here is that I've ungrouped them, so I'm able to click each letter and number individually. Once I have the design all set up, I'm going to hit save it as an SVG file, and name it whatever you'd like. And there's no reason to save it as artboards. And then this SVG options window is going to come up. I haven't needed to change any of these settings, so you can go ahead and click OK. Now we're going to open up a new project in Cricut Design Space and upload our image. We're going to make sure that we upload the .svg file. And you can name it whatever you'd like, and go ahead and click save. You're going to click on the image we just uploaded and insert it into our project. As you can see, when we bring in our envelope on the right side, every letter and number that we imported in comes in as its own layer. So therefore it has its own characteristic as well as cut type. Obviously this would be super tedious if we had to change each and every single one, but thankfully because we put everything in blue on one layer, we can go ahead and weld it. And essentially what welding does is it makes a stamp of everything that we've just selected. And this is going to be really helpful because when we click on that property, we can change the type. So right now I have a 0.4 tip black pen and make everything that same characteristic. And for the guide, which is essentially something that we don't want to draw, I'm going to select a pen that I actually don't have. So I'm going to use red for now, just to show some contrast. And now everything's in the same correct place that I want it. I'm going to attach it. And essentially what that means is that wherever I move it, it's going to go together. So I'm going to go ahead and save this project because we're going to go to the iPad iOS app so that we can place the envelope exactly where we want it as we go to draw it. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the envelope onto the mat using the bottom left corner along the grid lines to make sure that it's as straight as possible. So opening up the Cricut app, I'm going to go under categories and select my projects in the cloud and click on the envelope project. It opens up and when I hit open, it's going to show up on the iPad exactly as I've drawn it on the web space. So that's great. So now we're going to go ahead and click make it. So we're going to use the SnapMat feature of the iOS app and align that to our actual mat. And it's going to take a snapshot of the mat. And that's pretty accurate to what we see, so we're going to hit use. So obviously the envelope as we've drawn it right now is a little bit justified to the top left corner. So we're going to tap it to activate it and drag it on top of the envelope so that it can be exactly where we want it. And that's pretty much perfect. And it matches exactly the drawings that we've done. So I like where that is, so I'm going to hit create on that. After it's connected to my Cricut, I see that the first tool that it wants me to use is the red pen. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to load my mat. So obviously in this first cut, I don't have a pen or anything, and so it's basically going to do like a blind or blank trace. But this way we sort of can see that, yeah, it does match up pretty much where we want it. This notification is going to come up on your iPad or iOS device, so that's going to let you know that it's time to add the pen or whatever marker you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and load that and have the rest of the envelope go to draw. I hope this tutorial is helpful for people not only planning on creating envelopes, but also in general sense moving things from Illustrator into the Cricut Design Space to either draw or cut whatever you would like. So you could use this technique for bringing in any type of drawing or lines that you create in Illustrator to be used on your Cricut. Also, the SnapMat tool is really helpful for having your drawings line up exactly where you want it, and using that guide kind of as that blank line would be a good technique to use as well. And so there we have it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.